Call the meeting to order at 5:33. Everyone have a chance to review the minutes?
Yes, I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Any bills?
Oh, lots of bills.
Oh, we have two right
We
here.
can't sign all of these tonight.
You'll be here all week.
Thank you. Because that's got to go with the bill.
Make sure you sign it in line with the arrows so you don't get yelled at.
Yes, sir.
You gave me a blue pen.
I'll sign that one. That is the MAC conference. I'm going to have you guys sign it tonight, and then it'll be all set to go July 1st. And David, when you get to the last one, could you check your information for the MAC? Your email address and everything? You guys did the rest of it last
Should
week.
be correct, 'cause I keep getting news.
Can you change my email?
Yeah, I can change it. You want to put your other one on? Okay. Just cross that out, and I'll remember to do it.
That's the membership dues, right?
Yes, membership dues. And because I have changed it there and everything too, because it had chairman and going back to special.
I think I already changed that.
Do we have correspondence?
We do have correspondence. John Charbonneau from Planning came and gave me the CD today. It has to do with the firm maps, the flood maps, and he wanted us to have a copy of it. Commissioners were talking tonight, maybe Bill can burn another one. So if Bill wants to take this one home and burn a couple more.
Does everybody want a copy of the
I do.
Flood
FEMA
maps?
I would like a copy. No, yes, please. Kevin?
Sure.
David?
What's it, CD?
Yep.
Sure know how to open it, so
Well,
I'll pass.
I can make a VHS for you.
Can you? Can you put it in 8-track?
How about beta?
This is,
That's
we
a
got a
good
call
one.
from
That's
Mary
classic.
Peretti on Orchard Street, 340. She wants to take a down a tree that's been
Right, I'll
fell in
make-
the back
I'll
of her
make four-
property.
4 or 5
You have no
copies.
issues with it?
Okay.
Do we have the email here, or is this?
She called me, she didn't even email.
Thank you.
She's going away, she said. That is the wetland map.
Okay. There was an issue at 340 Orchard Street. Tree has fallen down.
Brian Glavin has taken a look at it. In fact, he was the one that told her to call us about it. The property right behind it is town property, not conservation, but town property.
So it's not wetlands.
And there's no wetlands.
Then we don't have any jurisdiction.
Correct.
So we have no problem with her removing the tree.
Conservation has no problem with her.
No.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Takes care
We
of
need a
that.
The other-
we need to vote, motion
No
on
vote,
that?
we have no jurisdiction.
The other correspondence would be from Azu.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Columbia Gas?
Yeah. The Columbia Gas filed a request for determination for the work that they're gonna be doing in Raynham and Bridgewater. Now, under the wetlands protection, and matter of fact, let me back up here, a lot of the work that they're doing, just like some of the work that Mass Highway does, about public utilities, public exempt, but they're filing a request for determination. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, you don't need to notify abutters. Under the town of Raynham local bylaw for the CONCOM, they're required to notify abutters. But from a practical standpoint, and given the work that they're doing that traverses several communities, I would suggest that you waive that requirement for abutter notification, because you're not gonna have 1,000 people here for a meeting. It's not practical.
It's all being done in the roadway.
Right, and, all the work is being done in the roadway.
Down 104.
Yeah, Yeah, it comes down on 104 in Bridgewater anyway.
Now, does it
I
still have
think
to go in
Elm
the
Street,
paper?
isn't it?
And,
Elm Street,
Yeah.
Pleasant Street.
yeah.
Now, does it still have to go in the paper? Will they still make
Oh, yeah,
notification
they'll
in the
still,
paper?
yeah, they'll
Oh, they're
still,
going down Elm Street?
yeah, they'll still advertise it in the paper.
Okay, so it's not, so the only thing that we would be foregoing is
The abutters.
the green cards for the abutters, which would be
Right.
a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make any sense.
If they're going down Elm Street, is there any special conditions because of the wells there?
Well, that's what you're gonna
That's
discuss
what-
at the hearing.
Oh,
All
okay.
you're doing is waiving the requirement for notification of a.
Oh, just, okay, all right. They are coming in for a hearing, though.
Yeah, on the second.
Yeah, not the, yeah.
And the bylaws give us permission to, or the ability to waive that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Do you need that in a form of a motion?
I would
Right.
say, yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we waive Columbia Gas Utilities from sending out green cards to the abutters, but still make sure that they have it in the paper, it's publicized.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Site visit. We have a site visit tonight at 7 o'clock for the Route 24 overpass. How many people would like to attend this site visit? Me? Anybody else?
Me too.
Okay, so it's just the two of us, so we don't need to continue our meeting then.
No, because you're not gonna have a forum.
Move into informal. Continued enforcement order, RK Associates, 600 South Street West. Is this where I want to hear this? We have a continued notice of intent too, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's all there is, so.
Yeah, so that and the continued enforcement, well, we'll put it on the agenda to make sure that we know we still have an outstanding enforcement order.
Okay.
But you really don't need to.
So we can go to formal
You can
now.
just go to formal, yeah.
Okay. Sir,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. David Baker, RK Centers. Just by way of update, I'm going to give you correspondence I've been sending to Gail. You may have seen it already. Regarding the trees, we had asked Mass Highway to come do a inspection. The commission has already done their inspection. And Mass Highway asked for an as-built plan. We explained to them that we were waiting for the Bristol County mosquito control work on the third head wall and the drainage swales, and then we were going to do one as-built that the surveyor would stamp, but they kind of said we really need an as-built. So we prepared, we submitted a letter with an as-built plan. It's color-coded, and the trees are all different symbols in case it gets copied in the future. And then I had subsequently, mosquito control has been out there, so I attached some color photographs of the work that mosquito control did to expose that third head wall, and they also armored the Route 44 drainage ditch. So,
we do have it.
He's going to add stuff to it, but it is in your.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing we don't have is the,
Color copy.
Color.
the code key.
Yeah, that's right. It's on this one,
Yeah.
the package you just gave us. You did a nice job there, huh?
We got the riprap in there?
so I gave a
Wow.
copy to the Mass Highway representative who's here tonight of the same correspondence. And the cover letter you see from GPI is my traffic engineer submitting to the Mass Highway Permits Office. So we would like to get their letter that they've inspected it and they're happy. In the picture, you see the mosquito control. They armored the Route 44 drainage swale, probably 40 feet or so, and then the last 10 feet is a new kind of high-impact filter fabric they wanted to try out for erosion. So it's tucked underneath the stone. It's probably got a 4-foot overlap, but it survived. I would ask the commission or Mass Highway, Bristol County Mosquito Control still has their siltation kind of fencing up at the outlet end of that area, and that tends to hold the water in place, and I'd like to get that removed so the water levels can establish their natural.
The excavator page on page 2.
Mass Highway have any comment on that? Okay, my attitude would be, just as before, they need to come out, otherwise we're gonna drown the trees.
Yeah,
So it looks like they did a good job. Do you have anyone available that could go over there and pull that
Yeah,
siltation
absolutely.
up?
I'm just not doing it
Then I
without
would
somebody
say
telling me
that-
to.
We can make a motion to have him
Well, we-
remove those
we have-
siltation.
We had done that once before.
Correct, but now it's been put back in because they went out and cleaned out that other.
Our case centers removed the erosion control after your vote of our work when we did the trees. Mosquito control came 2 weeks later,
you put up another one.
put up another one.
Okay.
So this is mosquito controls that was working for Mass Highway.
Do we have the power to override
To have those
mosquito control?
removed, yes.
We do?
Yes.
Well, I think everybody's in agreement, right?
Yeah, and then,
Would you make a motion to remove the filtration?
I'll second
What was the
that.
purpose of them putting that in there, do you know?
because they were.
When they had it
Because
open.
they were digging out the
Yeah.
channel.
So it
So
doesn't
they
get the
didn't
silt.
want silt to go down
Right.
that?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
yeah. So they should have been removed when they were done.
I think they would wait for somebody to tell them to do that. I just, because of the sensitivity of the water level in the trees, I wanna,
Sure.
Yeah. that's
I
fine.
think that's a good reason
Yeah.
for removing it.
So put that in the motion to
Motion.
remove the siltation device that's in place
Second?
For the work
Right.
done by
for the work done by the
Mosquito control.
mosquito
Still
control.
have some drainage issues
Yeah.
on our property.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you'll take care of
Yes.
sending someone out?
okay. So
Takes care
now
of it.
moving to the drainage, I had sent this to Gail, I have a copy for everybody. And then Andrea gave me a formal correspondence from the district tonight. So RK had met with Mass Highway District 5 in Boston a number of months ago to talk about what enhancements could be done to the existing drainage swales on their RK property. VHB prepared a memo that has been sent to both the district and to Boston about installing linear drainage swales at the top, or we call it the head of the existing riprap swales. So again, these might give you better 11 by 17, you know.
It's easier to
So,
read.
page 1 and 2 is the memo from the senior wetland engineer from VHB after her analysis of the site, their soil testing of the different areas, and the first color photograph was just a picture to demonstrate that certain areas back there are very tight and get run over by trucks. The second color photograph is a truck at the Dollar Tree loading dock, pretty close to the edge of pavement. And then you see two 11 by 17 plans. The first one is a truck turning template that the engineers, I asked the engineers to run using a WB 67 truck. And the picture of that size of that truck is up in the upper right-hand corner. The tractor itself is about 15 feet, the cab is 53 feet, just to show how trucks, the blue route would be coming in on behind It's a Party and on the Bed Bath & Beyond side, and the red route is if a truck came in on the South Street, and we're accessing the various loading docks. The individual trucks are shown at the various loading docks on the site. So it was really to demonstrate that in certain areas, anything we put in, especially by the Bed Bath & Beyond corner, is just gonna, they're right up against the edge of curving. So the next 11 by 17 color plan is VHB's recommendation. They numbered the existing riprap stone swales, number 1 being behind DeBuca's Liquor and working towards Bed Bath & Beyond, ending with number 7. But they're showing you where they're proposing, and it's color-coded for a new curb cut or additional riprap aprons or installing one of these water quality swales. We would at part of this informal meeting and formal NOI meeting, like to get an order, whatever order conditions the commission wants to issue so that we can implement that work. It's the only remaining work left to be done. One of the comments in the memo, both from Mass Highway, which was then reflected in the VHP memo, was to install a hood on the outlets where all these loading dock comes in. It's between riprap outlet 4 and 5. The Aldi's loading dock comes in and the Staples loading dock comes in, and they wanted to put a hood there just to get any oils and waters that were making it from the trench drain. By outlet 7 at Bed Bath & Beyond, they wanted a manual switch installed, and that has already been done. And that's, if you look at the last two pictures, that is the Bed Bath & Beyond loading dock, and that is a weatherproof switch. It was hardwired before so that if there were a spill, you could shut off the pump and it wouldn't go out. So this is not for us a lot of work to create these swales and cut open the pavement and add the stone and close over other openings, and we'd like to do it, and that would complete the drainage part. If you recall, Mass Highway separated our access permits. One was for the trees only and one was for drainage. The drainage is to update the ownership to current ownership of the property, which is RK, and to document the various connections. So there's Mr. Barbaro from Mass Highway Boston, who
I was getting ready to ask you I read an email that said he'd be here.
yeah.
Hopefully he wasn't in a white van on 24.
Right. So, Andrea gave me this memo, which was from Henry as I arrived. So this is indicating that Boston Environmental has reviewed the VHP plan and are happy with the effort that RK has made. And as I said, we've already done the kill switch on the Bed Bath & Beyond pump. We'd like the board to consider this information as part of the NOI and issue an order of conditions. And I'm hoping that Mass Highway District 5, now that they've got the memo from Boston and whatever decision the board makes and issues, would then be in a position to issue that drainage permit. And that would kind of close everything up, I think. At the end of the installation, as I said, we will get VHP back to survey the trees, survey the Bristol County mosquito drainage ditch, survey the linear swales that were put in, and submit that as part of a certificate of compliance request, or I believe that's the terminology.
Okay, I have a couple of questions on the actual work.
Yep.
That would be involved. You're removing some of the curb. What you're going to fill them in?
If you look,
Are the swales all staying in the same places?
the existing riprap outlets are all staying in the same places.
Okay.
We are adding additional curb cuts and then the linear swale, and using that existing riprap swale as the outlet, the overflow. So they want to introduce water in earlier, let it go linear, and potentially, infiltrate. And in a high rain event, it's all going to be graded to that existing riprap outlet. So, example on number 5. Well, an example, I'm going to go left to right. So, starting at outlet number 7. That's an existing riprap outlet. The stone doesn't start till the fence line, so they want us to clean up the entrance, add more riprap to it, and filter fabric, bring that stone right to the edge of pavement.
Okay. Now, I just want to go back and forth here so that if you hear him say anything that you disagree with, I just want to get this all Everybody,
say I object?
that's fine. And I'll slam my gavel down.
Yeah.
Hold you in contempt.
Okay, so number 7, it'd be to extend the existing riprap 6-inch minus stone right up to the edge of pavement and put a little check dam at the beginning of that to slow velocity down. That's the very tight area between 7 and 6.
Okay.
6 already comes all the way out to pavement. When you get to outlet 5, if you see the blue areas and the flow arrows, they want us to introduce a new curb cut, create the orange drainage swale, and lead that into the existing riprap outlet number 5. And on the other side, moving towards Dollar Tree, do the same thing, but there they have us introducing two new curb cuts and pitching it towards outlet 5. Then site conditions are such, there's kind of a high spot between outlet 5 and 4, so where, and this is based on the surveyed plan and site inspections and soil borings. When you get to outlet 4, we can introduce a new curb cut, pitch it to existing outlet 4. They want to install riprap check dam to detain water when we extend the riprap to the edge of pavement. And then again, kind of a mirror image on the right-hand side. Outlet 3, there's only enough room to do it on the left-hand side of outlet 3. Outlet 2, there's really only enough room to do it, and soil conditions are such that's only going to work on the right-hand side of outlet 2. But there's 2 cuts there. And then outlet 1 is one new cut. Actually, it's mirror image, both right and left. So then if you look at the bottom of that page, it shows you kind of a typical detail and a typical cross section.
Okay. The swales are all going to be grass,
Grass with, if they're long enough, with rock check dams in them to
slow it down.
slow it down.
Okay. My opinion would be create the swales, seed them, get them established, then make the curb cuts so that they have a chance, everything has a chance. We don't get a high flow through there that just takes the seed out and runs the erosion down into the... So I would like to see some sort of stabilization before the curb cuts are made. My biggest problem is how long is it going to take Mass Highway to issue the permit? You know,
Well, the work on on their property to create a swale doesn't require Mass Highway permit. Because that's all contained on their land. The permit will be for the aprons that go from the swale to the drainage.
The permit is to document the connection and the
Yeah.
existing underground
Yeah, that's what, they can
connections.
create that swale
But
all day long.
I just didn't know if you guys want a siltation sock or,
Well,
that sort of stuff. I think
it looks like the swale goes right over to the fence.
it goes close to the fence, but we could leave a grass strip right at the fence, and these are gonna be very narrow. In some places, we have the room to make them a good-sized bowl, in other places, they're gonna be fairly narrow, and they are not going on the other side of the fence.
See, so that's the issue. Number one, though, Dave, it's almost like you thought, how does a truck go from this pavement and go over there? Is that the one driven over there just to make the point?
No, I wanted to find the guy and thank him, but that was the day.
It's almost like by design, because I'm looking at the sign of Staples.
That was right after it was seeded.
Right. That was the day Caroline and I went for the first site visit, and
That was the very beginning when
I couldn't believe it, but it does document the point. If somebody's making a delivery, the other guy goes right around them.
Right.
Truck drivers are my nemesis at these properties. They just,
So that's why you put a few of those bollards,
I've,
if you really want to
yeah, well, I
prevent
think
that.
if you look at her plan,
All your work goes to the left.
the picture was taken
Yeah, exactly.
on the right-hand side of outlet 1. Probably those tire tracks are just where that new curb cut opening is shown.
So what about putting bollards?
What's gonna prevent that same truck from hitting the edge of the riprap now?
Well, that's what I'm saying, Dave. Put some bollards along
Now
that
they're
line.
gonna get stuck in the ditch.
And the other thing is.
I think our intent would be to maintain and dress these up each, spring when we do our spring cleanup and clean up winter sands, and we're always raking out tire tracks and fixing things, and if there's, excessive sand in one of these, we're gonna have to clean them out. If somebody's run them over, it's just the nature of our business. We fix stuff all the time, and it's well below our deductible, so we just send the guys out to fix it.
Right, but that's for maintenance of like sand deposits and stuff like that, but in terms
So
of.
if you want to
the
put,
run-
if you want to put a bollard in there, I would tell you that, I can tell you some horror stories. I've seen the bollard hooked
run 'em
up
over.
underneath the bottom of the truck, 200 feet down the road, and he didn't stop until the brake lines finally snapped. So we can put one there, but it's going to look like Normandy Beach to actually do anything. It would be like a tank trap.
But another operating at that such a speed through there? Like,
What I believe what
Well,
happened with that picture was there was somebody parked there,
uh,
and the next driver was impatient, and he said, screw it, I can make it up and over that curb. And he doesn't care about ruining the grass, so he did it.
How about installing some large rocks, some boulders?
There's really no room for them, though. Once you put these swales in, where you gonna put the boulder in there?
That's why I said the bollard, the big ball,
As he said, they run them over.
no, you're not gonna, if you put a rock, you're gonna run a rock over, but you put the post.
No, I mean, I
But
would,
anyway,
if I have my choice, I prefer to put a big rock at the beginning of the series of them. I think once they're in more towards the back, we won't need them. It's that
Right,
initial
that
turn
first.
in.
It's the initial, hey, I think I can make it.
And then
You
put
know.
a couple of signs there, warning them, that they might be fined or what have you, I mean, you get some of them, no operating on the grass, just like we're telling homeowners, put a no walk beyond this point on the sign. So if you're gonna put that at the beginning and at the end. But the other question really relates to, because you have a varying configurations of these swales, your detail then, you have in one detail, that detail will not be applicable to all the sections.
Yeah.
And then there is no grading showing how you're gonna make that transition, that you can actually achieve that.
No, this was based on we sent the surveyor back at all 1 foot intervals through the back. She had that plan. That plan will show, that topo will show on the final plan. But this was basically VHB is the surveyor. VHB sent their consultants out. And, what I would expect to do is we will spray paint out the curb cuts, we'll spray paint out the trenches, we'll have them come and, look over our shoulder, and I think it's a good idea to establish the swales and let the grass seed and grow
So are you
before we
saying-
make the final cut.
So are you saying you're gonna submit another plan, more detailed plan than this?
No, I'm gonna submit an as-built plan at the end of doing this. This is, to me, showing you the concept of where we can fit it, where the soils are compatible, and we'll make them as long as we can.
So that's concept, then. That's not actual construction plan then. This is just saying this is what we would like to do.
It's
But
conceptual, it's not.
It's a
hard facts.
conceptual, it's not designed, and, with all, it's not even stamped by your engineer.
I know, I can get it stamped. Basically, I was trying to get the survey work after our last meetings. I have a stamp plan. I brought it to the last meeting that showed all the topo. But I said to you guys that the VHB was out here doing this, and, if you want it stamped, I can have it stamped. But what I was gonna do was do the work. Everybody can inspect it. You can make it a foot longer, a foot shorter. Mass Highway can look at it, we can look at it, you can look at it. And then when everybody's happy that it's done, her issue was that she wanted to check the soil conditions, where this stuff would actually have a function as infiltration. I will bring the surveyor out and we'll prepare a stamp plan showing all the trees, all the drainage ditches, including Bristol County Mosquito Control's most recent one, all these swales, exactly where that opening is in that plan will be stamped by the surveyor.
Do we have a full-size scaled one of these, not this 11 by 17?
No, I just brought it because I knew we'd all be sitting.
Right.
I have a full-size
Right,
plan, and I do have a.
this is for discussion, so we need, even if it's one copy of an actual stamp drawing showing the elevations, and just so I can throw it out there. Now, Mass Highways are approving this work. Isn't the VHB doing a lot of work for Mass Highway right now? So isn't there like some sort of a conflict right there? Where Mass Highway, VHB is doing work for Mass Highway, and Mass Highway is approving the work by VHB?
Mass Highways VHB is making a recommendation to Mass Highway based on me hiring them. The reality is, the number of properties I have, I probably have every single engineer that you could list has worked for me at one point or another. Mass Highway is similar.
No.
So
But
it'd be very difficult to find somebody that we haven't worked with or we don't know to prepare a totally impartial plan.
oh, no, I'm not saying historically, I'm saying currently, they're doing work for Mass Highway, right now.
Yes, but
So-
the work that
so
the work that they're doing is the impaired waterways consultant. That's why it seemed like this was the appropriate party to be sent out with the marching orders from RK. Do whatever you need to do. Submit whatever recommendations you can submit, because we were basically saying, we think the 7 outlets that are riprap right now that we did are best management practices, are working in the field, but we said, we're happy to, if somebody has enhancements to make them perform better, we're happy to investigate those enhancements. So then Mass Highway has a couple of people who are doing this contract. We're doing this impaired waterways for them throughout the state. We said, okay, give us a name, who's the best one you want, and we'll call them up, and we hired them to come out, survey the property, and they're also, if you look at my original Alta surveys, VHB is the record surveyor of this property. So for me, if I'm going to call up somebody to survey the land, I'm going to call up the guy who did the last Alta survey when we bought it. Just happens to be VHB.
I'm just bringing that up, because if we've had situations where, I mean, just because it's a Mass Highway doesn't mean you can't bring that up.
Is VHB doing any work out of the Taunton office?
No, I'd say, well.
Well, they're doing
not that I
the
know of.
South Coast, they're
I
doing
mean,
the South Coast
they're
Rail
working
project
throughout
for
the
them.
state, but they may be working in this region, but it's out of Boston.
No, but Dave-
Conceptual, I agree with
Right,
you.
but no, that's what I'm saying, just so that it's public noted, because Dave just said, they talked to Mass Highway, who'd you use? They
So
said
you recommend,
VHB.
I
Right,
didn't think the state could recommend
right, so,
contract.
Guys, you have to think back about how this all unfolded. What I said to you in the NOI is, I don't want to touch the swales, they're working perfectly, they're better than what Mass Highway has on the other side of the stream, which is a paved swale. You guys said that's not good enough. What else can we do? We said, all right, we'll get the topo, because you insisted on topo, we'll get the surveyor to stamp the plan, we got all that stuff. And we basically said, I met with them, Mass Highway wasn't there, and I said, here's the background on the case, I need you to go make a site visit.
Come up with something.
You have carte blanche to come up with anything that you think will make it better. I obviously gave them my concerns, which was the truck traffic. I don't have any room to peel pavement back. That their statements to me where they thought that the riprap swales were working fine. It's just, visually, you can inspect them and they're capturing. And they said, well, here's one of the newest things that Mass Highway's doing, which is more based on highways, linear swales, I guess you call them. So I said, okay, if you think you can fit them. So they laid it out at every single swale. Then they said, you know what? We never really checked the soil conditions. We need to come back and do soil probes to see if it's actually going to infiltrate or make a new wetland. If it just stagnates and just sits there, go ahead, come back. And this is their plan and their recommendation after looking at what is possible on the site. I think it's an improvement. We're willing to do it. We've been kind of bouncing back and forth between Mass Highway, local Mass Highway, Boston, and this commission. And we've had people who have retired or who are no longer with us who were saying, I want you to do more. So I think we've been doing everything we've been asked to do. I think this is a good plan. I'd like like the commission to consider it and
I-
issue whatever order conditions they want so I can do the work.
I would agree that it is an improvement.
No, yeah, that's not.
I would also agree that I think we need a little better detail on what actually is gonna be there, and that may work if we had a scale drawing.
Yeah, we're not
This
saying
might-
it's not gonna, I'm not saying it's important.
This, well, when I look at this, the next page, Azu, I see,
This one here.
yeah, see the orange?
Yeah. Just a line.
And that detail says that it's 5 to 6 feet wide, 6 to 12 inches deep, 2 foot across on the bottom. Did I miss anything? And I think that's probably about what's there for room, is 5 to 6 feet wide behind the berm to the fence.
The issue for me, as I mentioned at the last hearing when we were talking about the trees, is I can bring the surveyor back out, but Bristol County.
Well, I don't think you need to bring a surveyor
I
out.
know, but I had a stamp plan right then and there, which was full scale. I was gonna leave it, but I was like, no, I need this plan to show the drainage work. Plus, we need to bring them back out to locate all the trees and the Bristol County mosquito control thing. So what I said to the board was, what I'd like to do is submit the drainage plan, do the work, bring the surveyor back once, capture all the data, and give you the stamp plan.
I don't believe that the surveyor has to go back out in order to place these on the plan, on a full-size plan, so
No.
that it gives us the picture that shows that
The detail.
there's 6 feet between the fence and the curb. That's where it's going. Bam, it's done.
No, because just like Dave stated a couple minutes ago, right, that it depends on which location, so it's not a uniform cross-section. So, that's all.
Bottom line is, we wouldn't approve a new shopping center without a detailed plan of the drainage. So why are we even talking about accepting this without a detailed plan?
Especially when it's especially,
think we are.
especially when it's part of an enforcement action, but I still, and I already made that point, but anyway, I'm just using Dave's word to make my point, that I don't think it was proper. It's almost like this Conservation Commission issues somebody an enforcement order, and then says, oh, you violated our property, or rather, the Wetlands Protection Act. We want you to go use civil engineering to do the work, and then we'll be happy.
But we don't do
You don't do that, that's all. Just because it's the state doesn't mean they should do that. He just stated earlier that Mass Highway said this is who you should
The
use.
Mass Highway gave me a couple of names, and I said, VHB is the record surveyor of the property. VHB is who I want to use. That was my choice. They didn't tell me to use them. They gave me 3 vendors. I've used all 3 of them.
No, I have, like I said, I'm just pointing out,
So I'm saying the same.
you're providing more detail now. Earlier, Dave, if you rewind the tape, you just said, you asked Mass Highway who to use, they tell you VHB. That's what you stated earlier.
We had a meeting with 15 people in there. It was me and GPI and lots of people from Boston Environmental, lots of people from the district, and we talked about this. If my preference was to get a drainage access permit right there and be done with it, because I think these swales are performing. Because of the new standard operating procedures in Mass Highway, and they have a set of guidelines they have to look at for every connection, because they're being sued by conservation law and others, I guess.
Right.
They said, we can't just approve this, we need you to see if any other enhancements can be done. So we talked about it, we said, do you now I'm gonna forget the name, impaired waterways program was mentioned, that they're saying, they basically said to me, we are confronted with the same issues on state highways all over the place, and we have 3 or 4 engineers that are designing stuff for us. And I said, give me the names of them and I'll hire one to come and look at our property. VHB, Tetra Tech, Rizzo, I've used them all. GPI, who's my traffic engineer, so I said it seemed like a no-brainer to bring VHB since they already had all the baseline data. I just need to bring them back and do the topo and bring their, it's a big outfit, bring somebody in who's a wetland scientist to in my opinion, independently analyze what else could be done.
The concept, it's a good concept. Just need a little.
I actually think that if this was a full-size drawing,
I'll get
You're
you a
looking at it
full-size
different.
drawing with an engineer
When I-
stamp on
when I
it
look at
by
it-
the end of
And I
the
have a
week.
question about the swales and the utilities. How close are these swales going to be to the telephone poles and stuff pictured? There's no, are the telephone poles gonna sit in the swales? There's no definition.
The
You,
full-size,
you can say no, but unless it's on a plan,
what I'm
I
saying
don't
is
know.
the full-size plan, obviously this is 11 by 17.
Yeah.
Full-size plan will give you better detail of it.
Yeah.
But those were the obstructions we were dealing with in the field. Can we create a swale that will have the proper function of infiltration, and boom, you hit a guy wire, boom, you hit a fire hydrant, boom, you hit a telephone pole. So those were the things, again, that the wetland scientist walked through, left her alone and said, make your recommendations. But it's based on a number of site visits to the field and the soil probes, and I will get you this plan with the engineer stamped on it and the topo. But I'd like to start building it before we're in the balmy heat of August and no grass will grow. I could, you could issue it under the enforcement order. Just that we were not gonna start it. Azul's right, it is on my property. Theoretically, I don't need Mass Highway's permission to build this, but I wanted everybody to be on the same page and agreeing that this was the best that could be done.
And I agree with that. You just need a little more working document that says this, you know what I'm saying? Even if it's, well, 1 or 2 copies of that area with the details, with those elevations. Then when you do your as-built, you can say, well, we made the as-built will note the differences, what you did actually in the field. So the approved plan becomes a working document. Your as-built reflects what actually got done.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna ask one other thing be put on the pictures where we have the kill switch going into the catch basin.
yes.
I would request that we make part of the condition a
Emergency
signage.
Shut-off sign.
Signage that says, in event of a fuel spill, use switch.
That-
And it'd be put at eye level.
That was actually going to be my question, Mr. Chairman. Is there going to be any, I don't know what other way to say it, but any training for the employees of the Bed Bath & Beyond that will allow them to know that that switch is there, other than a sign? I didn't know if that's something you have to get with,
Who would be responsible?
who'd be I know the signage on the inside of the building, right by the door, on the outside would definitely be probably a must to let them know, emergency off switch to turn it off, but if there's a sign there and nobody knows about it, or even reads the sign, I didn't know if there was any plan in place to make part of employee training at the Bed Bath Beyond or part of the new employee orientation to let them know on a tour of the facility, hey, here's the off switch. If you're back here and there's a truck offloading and something happens, here's where the
I
switch.
think putting the signs up is a fine idea. We can do the signs inside now. We can notify the Bed Bath & Beyond store manager who, hires and fires the
Correct.
employees.
I'm just trying to think if, the signs are a good idea, but if nobody actually walks out there with new employees or current employees and says, here's the switch, it's in the on position right now, you push it down and it's off. It's simple stuff like that. Sometimes people need to see physically and be told verbally at the same time to comprehend, other than trying to read a sign going, I have no clue what this sign means. There's some kill switch somewhere.
Actually, what you're saying, what you and Dave are saying are actually very important component of like the operation and maintenance plan that says, okay, like in the stormwater pollution prevention plans that people do now, those are the operation and maintenance things that you put in, log, who to notify, what phone numbers, what is the procedure for addressing compliance issues.
The
And then
delivery
have that
delivery
log.
drivers have those procedures from their companies, so, the truck driver, if he has a spill, that's probably your first line of defense. The store manager's inside the store in aisle 5, and, I think the sign is gonna be the best source. We talked about, initially, if you recall, we talked about, should we put a spill kit there or something like that, and the issue was, who do you train? Is that person there, or do they just forget about it? And so I think the sign and the switch is the best solution. I'm happy to bring the managers out there. The managers do change, and just say,
Correct.
this is very important. You need to make sure that whoever replaces you knows about this, and
Right, and possibly, also incorporate the store into taking a little bit of ownership of that switch
that's what
also.
that's what I'm
That's
talking
what he's
about.
And
That's
and
what
making
I'm
them
talking about.
put into their training plans, because I'm assuming all these employees have to go
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
training, orientation training, make that part of their plan, showing where the kill switch is. My other question was, is that gonna be the only spot that has that type of
That's the
injector
only,
pump?
That's the only pump.
That's the only pump?
That loading dock was built and completed under an order of conditions from this board prior to our ownership. That's
Okay.
one of the few things that is of record. So they got an order of conditions, they built it, they got a certificate of completion.
I just didn't know if there were any other pumps.
That's the only pump
That's the
on
only
the
pump,
site.
okay.
Okay,
We talked about that.
I would ask the state, both of you, state your name for the record first off. And do you have any questions, concerns, agreements, disagreements, comments?
It's District 5, Mass Highway. I saw the conceptual plan, I thought it was a great plan. I don't have any questions for Dave on it. We've been kind of communicating throughout the process.
Are you happy with the way that this is?
I am happy. It's a great improvement to what's there.
My name is Henry Barbaro. I'm with Mass DOT. I supervise the stormwater management unit. And I do have just a few questions and comments, but overall, I think this is a very good improvement.
Can you hear him?
Should I move to the podium?
Why don't you get it?
Problem up there?
Yeah, it's gonna
Sorry, the
be
mic's
I hope I don't have to stage. All right, so I thought that was a great discussion. I just have some random questions. The as-built plan is a good idea, Dave, and I'm glad you talked about it. So I was just curious, when in this process would that happen? When would the Concom get an as-built plan typically?
Well, I would be looking for that, I would say, within 30 days of the curb cuts being open. I think that's 30 days at that point, because at that point, you're already going to have the grass swales established. I mean, I think we really need to have the grass growing and mowing before we cut these curbs.
No, I think that's a good idea.
To add, to get a certificate of completion from the commission, I have to give them an as-built.
Okay.
So I have to do the work, get the as-built, and then file the paperwork.
And we have a 3-cut policy, so that we have a decent growth. We've always gone by, if it's been mowed 3 times and it's thick enough, then that's what we look at. So
Okay.
we're not gonna let them open the curb cuts until such time as we feel that
It's
the grass is gonna
stabilized.
hold it.
Good, great. This is interesting because, DOT has an interest, as well as the Conservation Commission. So, to continue with that, so how does the Conservation Commission handle, I guess I'd call it maintenance of BMPs or, and I'm not really pressing on this issue because, DOT has the same type of challenge to, have records of BMP clean out and so forth. But in this case, I'm just curious, how would you, want that? And I'm not suggesting that you, require monthly, clean out records or something. I'm just curious, let's say a year goes by, 2 years, whatever. Would you occasionally inspect, or how would you?
That's how come we're here. Pretty much, because we live in town.
Oh,
We
okay.
drive around. We see things. We
'Cause it's
see-
in
We
DO
see a pile of brush next to a fence and then notice a bunch of trees missing.
Because it's in DOT's interest that these swales be maintained, so, our drainage way does not get silted in or something. So, just curious.
We're just
We don't
constant.
have the manpower to send somebody out on an annual inspection to
Right.
all these properties.
Right. We feel
Physically
your pain.
impossible.
Right, yes.
So like you said, we have to rely on our eyes and ears, seeing things, hearing things, and checking them out, and we find problems, we try to fix them.
Okay.
I guess that's the best answer.
What we have in the past,
That's what I was alluding to earlier about the maintenance log,
right,
so that it will be subject to
It
random
puts the
inspection,
responsibility
right.
onto the owner.
Right.
we have in the past done that, asked for maintenance logs on
Yep.
properties that are sensitive in nature, that we would get repeated reports to the office on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that, but I was just curious, because again, there's this interesting intersection and overlap with what DOT wants to make sure that it's, cared for, so it doesn't cause problems for us, but anyhow. And I just want to clarify, too, that, as Dave says, RK chose VHB, and we gave them, I don't remember the exact conversation, but we gave them some suggestions for companies, and, we didn't hold them to any particular thing. But VHB, I can say, we do work with, and they're great, and Caroline Hampton I work with, and the thing is that they're very trustworthy, and what they do for DOT is very similar. They take an existing development or highway, and they try to retrofit BMPs, which is really what's going on here. It's a very tight situation, and they do the best they can, and that's all we ask for one of these drainage tie-in permits, is that it be to the maximum extent practicable, that they've addressed, did their best to manage the stormwater before it goes on to DOT property. So anyway, I thought that was good. My last question is, so this switch for the loading dock, I guess I thought that this would be a tool for the first responders. We have some facilities like this, like a rest area, where, people are trained, within the facility, the McDonald's, the mobile gas station, whatever it is, but our expectations are greatest on the first responders. So rather than expect a store clerk to do anything, maybe they could just
Notification to the fire department.
Yeah, they could just call this number rather than, okay, here's the spill kit, don't forget about the switch, and,
I do agree with
No.
you, but almost 18 years in the military, hauling jet fuel and MoGas. By the time the fire department gets the call, leaves the fire station, gets to the scene, flips that switch, whatever leaked is gone.
Is gone.
It's out. So it needs to be an instant,
Needs to be an
it needs to be a
automatic.
knee-jerk reaction to turn that switch off before,
Because I am a first responder, and 90% of the time, we don't even get called for minor spills.
Yeah.
Unless the whole saddle tank is ripped off, we don't get called. So, should there be a number on there to call the fire department if it happens? Yes.
Yeah,
And
that's
when the
great.
fire department does their annual inspections to the property, they are gonna see that sign, and they're gonna log it on their building plans that there's a kill switch there for the event of a fuel spill.
Great. Yeah, I guess perhaps a store clerk might freeze if they're not totally confident. And if there's a number there, I think that is a great idea, if they are frozen, and they can call.
and that may be on the first responder also on the other end, saying, do you see the switch?
Yeah.
Push it to off. Something as simple as that,
Exactly. Okay,
just to remind them.
All right, well, those are my thoughts, and we're very grateful for the Raynham Conservation Commission for your efforts, and I'd like to think this is a good collaboration to get what we both want. So,
I
thank
mean,
you.
if this is an issue with the state as far as maintenance, can this property be put on the state watch list to check it out periodically? I mean, you have more manpower than we do.
Well, we also have a bigger area, but yeah. I hear you. That one we haven't, this policy is new, this SOP, Standard Operating Procedure about drainage tie-ins. And so I think this will happen, but it isn't really like,
I mean, you must have a priority list of
Place.
sensitivity, areas that are sensitive that
Yeah.
you want to
yeah, and we
put
do.
on the top watch list.
You're right, frankly, I'm not sure this would be that first tier, but we do have sites like that
I
where,
mean, with its close proximity to the Taunton River, I think it would be.
yeah. Well, we haven't quite formulated a system quite yet, because under this new regime of drainage tie-in permits, we're really in the early stages. This is really one of the first examples of this, where we've asked for a retrofit at an existing tie-in.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
all right. Well, we'll continue to work cooperatively, and thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Everything being said, I believe that we need to see a full-scale drawing in order to actually determine exactly where we're at. July 2nd is our next meeting.
I'll get it just delivered to Gail as soon as I have it. I don't think we need to wait for another meeting with you guys.
I,
I will get the stamp plan. It should be, a phone call. I can drive out to Watertown and pick it up from VHB and get it down here. Get you two sets of it stamped. And then what I would ask the commission to consider is somehow giving me the blessing to start this work, because I'm looking at the heat of the summer and trying to get grass grow, and I'd like to get these swales in, and we now have Mass Highway consent to the program, which was one of the things that we kind of catch-22 with. It's not heavy lifting for the construction, so we'd like to get going on it.
On the
this
grass
is a notice
growing-
of intent,
On
correct?
the grass growing, is it hydro seed or traditional seed?
They didn't spec it. I haven't. It's probably small enough that we would just hydro seed it.
Here's my question to you. If we close this hearing, we can issue an order of conditions if we receive the plan, or we can't receive another plan after we close this hearing.
No, if you close the hearing,
You have to
you're not, you close the hearing, that's one item. And then you can take a vote to issue an approval, okay, of but if each most of those motions, you can make it subject to receipt of a full-size plan reflecting the details of the work, acceptable to the commission. So if you do that, then that gives you the okay to
Personally,
accept.
I look at this plan, and I
yeah.
think that if it was full-size, that it's gonna show
Yeah, but
us
the only
exactly.
problem is if for some reason we see a full-size plan and
We don't like it,
we don't like it, now we have no recourse to reopen the meeting and
No, then you
ask
deny,
to
then you,
fix something.
no, then,
The way you
then we would have to deny it.
Yes, but the way I was worded that, you said that subject to our agreeing
receipt
to this
and
plan.
yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
agree
so
to
if
the
you do
plan,
that,
then
it's not, well, okay, but at least what it does is, it's almost similar to what you did for 1084 Broadway, where you close the hearing, voted to issue approval, and then you guys came and they looked at the plans. What this is saying is, if you
As long as
vote,
those plans really show
show the work, and for example, Dave had a concern about where those utility poles were gonna be. So, and then Dave explained that if you have a full blow, that's not gonna be a problem, and they may, make finite adjustments to the route of that swale. So you can do that, just to give them that opportunity, if everything is fine, and then what you can do, if you feel it's necessary, with the subject to, reviewing it, you can say, hey, you can call a meeting, just like you were gonna post a meeting tonight. you can post a meeting for the purpose, for the sole purpose of issuing, signing the order of conditions, so that at least a majority of you, 3 of you will show up and say, okay, yeah, we agree with the plan, then it's done. Then you don't have that waiting to, because remember, technically, when you issue an order of conditions, there's an appeal period, albeit, I haven't seen anybody showing up here batting down the doors to, as about us, you know what I'm saying?
I believe, I mean, I can see where the sign is on the back of the building,
Yeah.
and the swales go either side of it. I can see a couple of things that say guy pole, guy wire. If the applicant asks us to close the hearing, if he feels comfortable that the plan that he would submit to us
Would answer all our questions.
would answer our questions.
Mr. Chair, the plan that I'll get you that's stamped will be a blend of the Alta survey, which is going to show all the hydrants and telephone poles and guy wires, the topo in the back, and then this proposed work, and it will be stamped. So it's ironic.
That's all we need.
It's ironic because I brought the 11 by 17s because they're more manageable at a desk than the full-size ones, but
But this hasn't figured out how to shrink it down.
so.
That's my problem.
But I will, make it my first order of business tomorrow to get that plan, and I'll hand deliver it to to Gail.
Right, and I will suggest doing that so that you don't have an issue. Have them show the applicable cross-sections that apply to which section of the swale. In other words, this detail, this cross-section that is shown here wouldn't work for the entire length of the swale.
So what you're saying is
Well, will it?
a
wouldn't.
cross-section for each outlet?
No. In other words, if you say, for example,
Go to that page. with
if
the
you go to
orange.
page,
Right, the truck turning template is really just
yeah,
Yeah,
forget
to
the template.
demonstrate something.
We're looking at C1.
Okay.
So there is a section through there, but then the swale is not identified.
If you look at the very bottom, the cross-section, it's 5 to 6 foot typical. It's showing from curb to fence.
2 to 1 slope.
2 foot
Approximate
wide at the base.
6 to 12 inches deep.
Is the depth in all of them, even on areas that were more narrow, would the depth be the same?
Yes, because you
So the only thing
gotta tie back into the existing riprap swales.
So the only thing that would change typically would be the 5 to 6. Some areas it could be 3 to 4.
No, the depth is not gonna be
I
this.
think, the 5 to 6 on the width might change a little bit. The other thing is the length,
Right.
which you'll be able to get off the scaled plan on the full-size plan. Is this one 20 feet, is this one
But
10
the
feet?
depth will not be the same because the profile along that length is not the same.
No, that's,
The elevation is not the same across the entire length. Therefore, the depth is not gonna be the same. That's why you need a
He was asking
cross-section.
about the width. Will it be
Right.
5 to 6 feet wide the whole way? And
Right, but when you're showing a 2 to 1 slope and a width,
and
right?
it's pitching
Then
to
there's a
drain.
broad, right,
All right, so, that being said, I'm gonna ask a question. If the depth of the swale is not gonna be 2 feet the entire length of the swale, are you trying to keep the bottom of the swale flat? Or are you trying to have it pitching so that it runs towards the,
It's designed to pitch
It's
towards the
designed-
existing
right. But the-
BMPs.
But the elevation of those, those aprons are not the same because the ground is not uniform across that length. The elevation is just not practical. That's why, if you look at this proof, what he's showing you,
Without a detail, we're spinning our wheels
that,
here.
right, that's why some are gonna be pitching this way. That's why you don't have a swell right here.
Without the topo, the grades, the actual design,
Right,
we're
see what
spinning
I'm
our wheels
saying?
here.
It's not gonna be the same, because you look over here, there is no swell here, there is no swell here. Number one, because there's not enough room for it. Number two, the elevations wouldn't work. That's why you need a larger scale drawing, and if you close your hearing, make it subject to that. Then you get to take a look at it. If you don't like it, you say, geez, you're not gonna be able to do work, submit more information.
I think this plan references what VHB feels is the maximum extent practicable to add swales. If they're not shown, it's because there's an obstruction or because the soil conditions do not allow the swale to infiltrate and therefore perform. They are designed to pitch towards the existing riprap swales that are numbered because that's the overflow or outlet end of the feature.
And I agree with that. But all I'm saying is that's this detail that is shown, it's not applicable for all these swales. It's just not. Because you don't have a uniform cross-section or a uniform
Right, but
profile,
it's
that's
a
all.
typical detail. This is, let me get you the stamp plan, but at some point,
Right.
I'm not gonna do 500 sections through the.
No,
through the-
don't be ridiculous. You don't have 500 swales.
Yeah, no, this is relatively simple to implement to make it work. It's got to drain, and it's got to pitch from left to right to the center. And it's, the other comments about signage and educating tenants and stuff, it's all fine.
So would you like us to close the hearing?
Oh, absolutely. I would love you to close this hearing.
Okay.
And issue an order of conditions that makes you all,
We can close it.
That's what I said before.
Yep. So do we have a motion?
make a
Anyone have anything further that they'd like to add?
Just remember, we're here because
yes, sir, I know why
mistakes
we're
that
here.
your company made, so don't get mad at us.
Does
I'm
anyone,
not mad, I'm trying to implement.
does anyone have any further information to add to this hearing?
Other than supporting, I will really support whatever Mr. McCray said. Because you didn't come, this was not originated, this is not as a result of
Correct.
somebody trying to build a project. Okay, first of all, it started off, so just so that you remember the background. First, they came here with guns blazing, telling you you didn't have a jurisdiction. Okay? And until you prove that you did. So it's not incumbent upon the commission to bend backwards or
But-
flip backwards. So that's all, no, I'm just backing up what Mr. McCray is saying. Yeah.
Absolutely, Bill.
So you're not stopping, you're not holding them up, if you will.
No, I just personally believe that
I-
we need to facilitate this to get it
Yes.
constructed before.
That's why I
We're out of
suggested
growing
closing the
season.
hearing and
So-
making it subject to.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing, the notice of intent for RK Center, 600 South Street West.
No, do we have to put a,
There's a
Subject to,
attachment to that.
Yeah, subject
well,
to
we can-
receipt of the,
Well, that's for the order of conditions, correct?
both.
That-
You're closing the hearing. If
But you
close
have
the
to
hearing,
allow that evidence to
You have
come
to
in.
allow
now.
it.
submit it, yeah.
Okay,
And
so,
then when you make the order vote, the motion for the vote, then you can specify the details of what you want.
so we're closing the hearing subject to
Receipt of
the receipt of the plans? Is that
Full-size stamp.
full-size
Full-size.
stamp plans?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing is closed.
No
Can
one.
we issue an order of
You can
conditions?
vote to issue.
I make a motion that we order,
Subject,
I make a motion that we order,
issue.
issue the order of conditions, subject to the approval of the stamped copy of the details for the layout,
Plus your signage and training.
plus the signage and
Training guidance.
training guidelines,
For the kill
And the
switch.
maintenance logs.
the maintenance logs.
That makes sense?
All we need is a file number in this motion.
It's permit number,
It's permit number, but not DEP file number.
That's the Mass DOT access permit number here.
Yeah, we need the, wetlands petition act file number.
Too many?
2690900.
SE 269-0900.
Okay. Who was making the motion?
I made the
David?
motion.
David made the motion,
Each add the file number.
and add the file.
Add the file number.
And it
I'm gonna
has,
repeat it.
subject to receipt of.
And
The
plans.
Receipt and approval.
That's receipt and approval by the commission of the plans.
The signage for the emergency shut-off, training plan for the employees, and
Maintenance log.
maintenance log.
Maintenance log.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Do we need to schedule a special meeting to go over this, or do we go over it individually and sign as we go?
Well, if you should schedule a special meeting, because you just stated that subject to commission approval, one member
Okay,
can't approve it.
That's fine.
Yeah, so
that's
you schedule a special meeting, it could be during the day,
Yeah.
when you have at least 3 people show up, and that
As
can
soon as
be
the
done.
plan's available, we can,
So you let us know when you get the
Mr. Chair.
As
plans.
soon as the plan.
I'll get you the plan as soon as possible and would respectfully suggest then you schedule.
Even if you know that you're gonna have the plan on Friday, and you'll drop it off on Monday, if you let us via email know, because we have to,
Post the meeting.
we have to post a
I'll keep
meeting,
Gail,
what,
as soon as
72
I know,
hours?
I'll let you know.
48 hours,
And you're not open on Fridays?
till noon time.
Half day on Fridays.
Okay, thank you. Back to informal, continued enforcement order, we'll leave those here, right? Request for certificate of compliance, DEP file number SE 269-0894. This is a property that I have previously, because I was employed by the people, removed myself from. I am no longer employed by those people.
Thank you.
Does anyone
good night. Thank you.
have any objections to me voting on this?
No objection.
No objection.
Then I'm not getting up.
Yeah. The only point I wanted to make on this is that they only paid $100 for it should be $200 for the certificate of compliance, because the category 1, and I didn't clarify that for Gail, so and so she told him 100, but I will make that clarification now. I thought I brought it with me.
You got it?
Yeah, okay, it's category 1. It's usually for existing homes, work on an existing home, like if you did an addition, a swimming pool, a yard work.
I think this is
Okay.
the first time I come across this.
Right, okay, category 2 is for new construction, and I submit to you that that is a new construction. So I will recommend that you vote to issue the certificate, sign it, but vote that it be held and not released until we get the balance. Yeah. Yeah.
Does the applicant know that he?
Well, we'll let him know tomorrow, we'll let him know tomorrow.
And this would be a complete certificate.
That's correct.
Is this address to one of the new homes that was built when the lot was split?
This is 95.
This is
This is
95.
the house.
That is the one that they came and the commission gave them a modification.
So this was it's not the existing old house that was,
No.
No.
This is brand new.
This is the new.
This house was torn down and rebuilt.
okay.
And that is the same.
Or newly built.
And that is the same location that you gave them a
An
modification,
enforcement order.
and then give them a
Right.
modification to move fill that area,
That's
breed
right,
it, yeah.
that's right. I remember,
I'll
that's
make a
done.
motion that we
Joe teased.
issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file SE 269-0894 for 95 South Street, pending correct payment
Being received.
received.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Fish cheetahs, right there. They work, they work.
Are you gonna be a pain in the ass?
He's signing double.
That's right. I see doubles, I sign twice.
Okay, we have this plan
You all should have a copy of it.
Yeah.
with the location of the fence, dumpster fence enclosures. Is that what that says?
Yep.
Fenced in. Is everyone happy with this plan?
That's all we asked him for, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yes.
Oh, this is on, okay, yeah, yes.
The cleanup
Right, yep.
behind the plaza.
We did do an enforcement order on this, didn't we?
No, no.
We asked them to come in,
A letter to
Send
come
a letter
in.
asking
Okay.
them to
Come in.
and then
We
we asked
have
them
to
for
in
this.
some way,
Give them
because this
approval.
is in Riverfront and everything, we have to issue something giving him permission to install this, correct?
Yeah, an enforcement order. So vote the one enforcement order for him to do the work.
Okay.
Touching this plan, so.
But it's on existing pavement. Except,
No,
well,
it's on the grass. The dumpsters are on the pavement,
No, the
But the
dumpster,
fence is.
but the fence is in the grass.
Right, it should be.
yeah, you want the fence on the grass, otherwise they'll be ripping up pavement and
Yeah.
making more disturbance.
Yeah.
So in order for him to get approval to do this, we need to issue an enforcement
That
order.
is correct.
Then give him permission upon that enforcement order to
Right,
act on
now,
this
in other words,
plan.
you're ordering him to do this work
Okay.
within
Okay.
20, yeah.
So Azu is going to say the motion that someone else is going to have to make.
I will make a motion.
Okay, to issue an enforcement order to Mr. XYZ for so location,
575
575 South Street West, to install a fenced-in dumpsters in the location shown, and then you can copy the title of the plan, as well as install an 80-foot chain link fence to serve as a barrier between the dumpsters and the river.
That was very nicely worded,
Thank you
Kevin.
very much.
And I'll second the well-worded motion made by my colleague to my right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Okay, you probably want to vote, because an enforcement order has to be signed by the majority, but you want to vote to authorize either the agent or the chairman to issue the enforcement, to sign and send the enforcement order. That way we can send it out tomorrow.
I'll make a motion that either the chairman or the conservation agent be authorized to sign the enforcement order and get it out as soon as possible.
Now second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Just a comment on that. Is that going to cause this gentleman some concern that he gets an enforcement order?
I think in the wording of the letter,
Yeah.
upon completion,
Right,
this enforcement order.
right, yeah, I mean, we'll do the enforcement order because it's actual form, and then we'll write a cover letter,
Okay.
letting him know that this is
Yeah,
why.
It's the
The
procedural.
wording, yes, yes, good word, procedural.
Okay, so there's still only two of us that are gonna go to this.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, before we adjourn real quick, I just wanted to bring up to everybody.
Go with the signs again.
No, I made a copy. I know we're pressed for time, but I made a copy of the conservation property that is somewhat able to have signage put on or inaccessible from public streets. And we can fine tune this. There's 5 parcels, 5 maps. All the commissioners have a copy, and they can review it at their leisure, and then we can talk about it more and have it put on the agenda for our July meeting. But I just wanted to let everybody know that they have it, and it gives them a few weeks to review it.
Do all of these properties have names?
No,
Then how are you going to make a sign?
well, that's what we're gonna have to discuss. But I wanted to,
Subcommittee.
narrow down if we're gonna do all 5, or if we're only gonna do 3. I wanna try to at least secure the locations that we wanna work on.
We can have a sign that says 41 acres, 28 acres.
And what are we doing for signage? Have we talked about that?
We have briefly, but I wanted to lock in the
Properties.
properties that we wanna devote our attention to.
You're making, that was another.
Yeah.
Well, because I was gonna
In
say,
your workshop
I mean,
at home.
that can be arranged.
Okay, so part of the subcommittee would be to recommend names for these parcels.
Correct. So the first step is to
Dave's
identify the
Landing.
parcels that we wanna work on.
Dave's Landing.
Can I have one more motion,
You
and
make
please
that
don't make it
Chairman, I
Dave's
make a motion to
Landing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We are done.